I am such a mess, you guys. I was drunk yesterday. No, I was drunk. Like, not in my body. And it's not the kind of drunk you think I'm talking about, because I haven't drank in oh my God, a real long time. I was emotionally drunk. And that's what we're talking about today. We are going to talk about what it's like to be emotionally drunk. Welcome to the Staying Wild and Well podcast. My name is Rin, and my greatest accomplishment is being alive. Here we talk about life's journey, the ups, the downs, the in-betweens, all things mental health, body, mind, and spirit. We share wild stories and keeping your wild alive while staying well. What it's like to be emotionally hungover, and what it's like to have a vulnerability hangover, because these kind of all go together. And that's what I want to share with you today. And I can guarantee that if you follow along, you have been there, and maybe you didn't have the words to subscribe to what you were going through. We're going to dive in a little bit. So follow me. I'm going to paint the scene for you. You wake up. You feel like, did I even sleep? You're kind of groggy. You don't really want to get out of bed. Your eyes feel a bit swollen. Your chest is tight. You're like, what the heck? Your breath is already short. You just woke up. Like, what the heck is happening here? Your morning is already kind of thrown off. Maybe you're not following your traditional morning routine. Maybe you're not nourishing your body the way you normally would. You're not going to the gym if you have that kind of outlet that you do and you engage in. You go to work and you just feel kind of off. People are talking, but you're kind of here, kind of not. You're kind of in a daze. The generalized anxiety has taken over your body. It feels like your whole day's been kind of thrown off. And let's just put a pin in that for a second. Maybe you actually woke up and you felt fine, and this feeling we're talking about came on midway through the day. You got drunk in the middle of the afternoon instead of first thing in the morning. Maybe you got drunk at night. It's all the same. This feeling of emotionally being drunk, like you just don't feel good in your body. You're kind of here, but not. You're almost disassociating sometimes. There is so many different feelings that contribute to that feeling of being emotionally drunk. But basically, you're not showing up the way you normally would. And in that emotionally drunk state, you are extra vulnerable. You might feel more sensitive. You might cry over the littlest thing. And that's what happens is we often show up in ways that are not ourselves when we are emotionally drunk. You might lash out at somebody. You may get into an argument with somebody and say hurtful things that you didn't mean to say because you're not present emotionally. You might end up getting very vulnerable. You have been holding back those tears all day, and you might not even be close to someone, and all of a sudden, verbal diarrhea. All the emotions come out, and you're seeking comfort and advice, and you're giving everything that you are going through, and you're talking to somebody about what it is, and you're hoping that they're going to say the words that make you feel better. And you barely even remember what you said when you walked away because you were so heightened and emotional. These are all ways that we could feel emotionally drunk. Saying the things that we don't want to say, having the arguments we didn't mean to have, not being present in conversation, we're kind of in, kind of out, being extra vulnerable and emotional, sharing with maybe strangers, or even sharing with a family or friend. You're just uncontrollably having these emotions move through your body, and whatever you're saying is coming out, but you're not even fully present when you're saying it. Emotionally drunk. So then, you wake up the next day, emotionally hung over. What does that look like? You start questioning how you showed up yesterday. So again, you're not feeling the greatest because you're hungover, and you start replaying, oh my gosh, everything I just shared with that person. Oh my God, I don't feel like that today. I no longer feel like that today. So what I said wasn't relevant. Oh my God, they probably think I'm crazy. They're probably judging me. Oh my God, I probably ruined the friendship, the relationship. Oh my God. I've been there, you guys. Oh my God, have I been there? Where who you are one moment is not who you are in the next. And the reason I'm sharing this is because emotions ebb and flow. And this is really a normal experience we have as humans. And everything is temporary. And that's why I'm really sharing this, right? Because when we are in the height of our emotionally hungover moments or feeling emotionally drunk, they're usually connected to a feeling, a story, something. We don't just feel emotionally drunk, right? It's always connected to something. And it could be something that happened 2 weeks ago. It could be something that happened a month ago, a year ago. You could have had a dream that ignited the feelings inside your body that caused anxiety. There are so many reasons why we show up emotionally drunk. And it's being able to step back and see that, but understanding that that feeling itself is temporary, the ebbs and flows of the different emotions. So when we wake up emotionally hungover, typically we're regretting the day previous, what happened, how we may have been judged. We're feeling very sensitive. We're feeling more vulnerable than we did when we released everything, because now we're like, oh my God, I just shared a part of myself, or I showed up in a way that I'm not really proud of right now. That emotional hangover also is combined with exhaustion, because the whole day you were having anxiety and you carried that anxiety in your body. And then you feel depleted. And I'm sharing this because often I have clients being like, I don't know why I'm so tired. I don't know why I'm so tired. I have no energy. I have no energy, Rin. I don't really get what's going on. And I'm like, you gotta listen to your body for a second. You just went through a full day carrying the weight and the anxiety and the stress of what you were moving through. And not only were you carrying that stress and anxiety, you showed up in ways that weren't necessarily yourself. And you were psychoanalyzing yourself, and you were wondering why you were feeling the way you were feeling. The next day, you are going to feel emotionally hungover. If you cried all day, you're going to feel emotionally hungover. Being emotionally hungover is temporary. Like being emotionally drunk is temporary. Again, it is a normal part of the human experience. So what do you do when you were emotionally drunk and then you were emotionally hungover? You're not going to tell me to be more vulnerable. Yes, I am going to tell you to be more vulnerable. Lean into that vulnerability. If you spoke to somebody in a way that you wish you hadn't, tell them, hey, yesterday wasn't a good day. I know that it may have seemed like me, or maybe it didn't. But for whatever reason, I'm feeling guilty about it today. And I just want to let you know that that wasn't a true reflection of who I was. You can totally share that with somebody. You can open up your heart and be more vulnerable instead of being in your head about whatever story you think that they might be playing. Because I can guarantee you, if they showed up for you in some sort of way, they're probably not judging you, and they just see you as the human you are going through an experience. Now, if it was an altercation of some sort that ended up in an argument, I always say, like, showing up and saying, hey, like, I wasn't really myself. I'm sorry about that. Totally fine, and so admirable to be able to see yourself in your experience and own up to the way you showed up. I recognize that it can be really challenging to be able to open up and say, like, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to show up that way, especially if you're feeling that hangover, that guilt, that shame. But typically the challenges connected to how we're feeling about how we showed up, XYZ, is connected to a story that we're saying in our minds. And really, it's the stories that keep us stuck. It's the stories that keep us in emotions that we don't want to necessarily feel. So I encourage you, if you are feeling or have gone through an emotional hangover and it's connected to somebody and the way your interaction was, to just speak openly about it. Try and get that weight off your chest. There's such a freeing feeling once you talk about it, and you feel so much better. What else can you do if you're emotionally hungover? Rest. Your body needs rest. Actually, anxiety and the challenges that go on in our minds often take more energy than the physical workouts that we do and the physical labor that we do, because what's happening is when our mind is going at such a fast speed, our body is feeling it as well. We're storing that energy. You need to rebuild it. Take the day. If you were actually hungover from alcohol, you would take the day to rest. You would probably lay in bed all day. And yes, it could feel like a wasted day, but your body absolutely needs it. Now, what is a vulnerability hangover? It kind of falls into that emotionally hungover feeling, especially if you were vulnerable and shared with somebody what you were going through. So there are a couple different ways, right? I often say that doing these podcasts, I get a vulnerability hangover. I wake up the next day and I go, oh my God, people are going to think I'm crazy. Oh my God, are people going to judge me? Oh my God, are people going to want to continue to work with me as their coach? Oh my God, am I sharing too much? Like that vulnerability hangover, energetically, I'm like, oh, that was a lot. Whew. So being emotionally vulnerable and hungover from that vulnerability can show up in many different ways, even just like this, right? Like I'm talking about my passion right now. How can my passion cause a hangover feeling? Because showing up vulnerable is not easy. So if you had an emotional hangover and then you open up in vulnerability with somebody, then that could be followed by the emotional hangover from the vulnerability of sharing, hey, I wasn't myself yesterday. And it kind of piles on top of each other. It is holding space for yourself in that vulnerability hangover, because really what's happening is that you're judging yourself. You're judging yourself for being vulnerable, whether that was crying, whether that was opening up to somebody, if it's opening up on a public platform. What is happening in a vulnerability hangover is primarily you are judging yourself. You are looking at yourself and dissecting yourself and worried about what other people are going to think and say. And all you could do in this case is provide compassion for yourself in knowing that you show up in the best ways you know how. When I'm showing up here, I am hoping that I can help somebody. I'm hoping that this podcast reaches somebody and they're able to say, oh, that's what's been going on with me, or oh, I'm not alone in this, or oh, finally I can put a word to what I've gone through. I was emotionally drunk, and then I was emotionally hungover, and then I was having a vulnerability hangover, like the cycle of the human experience. That's my hope. But if you reached out to somebody in vulnerability when you were going through a moment, even if it was temporary, even if it doesn't describe who you are as a person, that is a strength. In my opinion, vulnerability is a gift that helps us connect with others, and one of the greatest strengths that you could ever carry with you. Because to be vulnerable means that you open yourself up to a connection, but you're also opening up your heart and sharing what's going on within, which also helps us grow individually as people. So to get rid of that hangover is to start to offer yourself compassion. And same with the emotional hangover, is to offer yourself compassion. Everything is temporary, and nobody is like perfect all the time. No day is going to be just fabulous every day. Emotions are not linear. And like your biggest takeaway here is that like everything is temporary. And I love that. Everything in life is temporary. It's not meant to be felt all the time, 24/7. You're not going to feel emotionally drunk forever. You're not going to feel emotionally hungover forever. And the vulnerability hangover will absolutely go away. In fact, the more you practice that vulnerability, the less you end up having those vulnerability hangovers. So, if you've gone through this, I've given you some tips and tricks and like why and what things you could do. But really, at the core of it all, if you are having a drunk day, an emotionally drunk day, whether you are getting drunk in the morning, in the afternoon, or at night, the biggest thing here is to tune in and ask yourself, what is going on in my system? What do I need right now? Sometimes the feeling of being emotionally drunk takes over our body, and we're not really able to access what do I need right now. So the next day, you have the ability to look at, what have I been going through? What could I have used? Who could I have spoken to? Is there something I'm doing that's out of alignment? You do not get emotionally drunk for no reason. So there's ample opportunity to look at the why. And the why helps you create tools and develop a way to move through it so that the next time it happens, you're able to understand what's going on and try and reach for something that feels a little bit better in your body. If you've gone through an emotional hangover, if you've gone through being emotionally drunk, if you've gone through being emotionally vulnerable, you are not alone. It is truly a part of the human experience. You can move through it one step at a time.